Does being dyslexic impact your ability to drive? From a legal standpoint, no. If you're dyslexic, you are more than welcome to go and pursue your driver's license. But from a more practical standpoint, there are two ways that dyslexia often impacts people's ability to get their license. The first has to do with the written test. Believe it or not, studying written manuals and then taking a written test is not necessarily a favorite activity for many dyslexic individuals. And so there are a lot of documented experiences where dyslexic individuals have had a more difficult time or taken more time to do that than their non-dyslexic peers. But the other piece actually has to do with driving. And the incident that most often comes up with this is with the difficulty with differentiating between lefts and rights, which is a challenge for many dyslexic individuals, and that is why you'll often hear dyslexic individuals say, oh yeah, I was driving, and somebody else in the car had said, hey, turn to the right, and so I went that way. And everybody said, what are you doing? That's not right. And it turns out, you're right, it was not right, it was left. But that is a common experience for dyslexic individuals. Now, one of the other things that you'll often hear talked about is how dyslexic individuals might struggle with maybe coordination while driving, or measuring or like assessing spatial distances, being spatially aware of the vehicle, all of that type of thing. I would argue, especially based on all of the things I've read about this, that that's not actually dyslexia. That sounds very much more like dyspraxia, which around 50% of individuals with dyslexia have dyspraxia, and it's way less common to actually be familiar with what that is. Dyspraxia impacts people's physical abilities. It impacts motor coordination. It impacts spatial awareness. It impacts the ability to maybe as easily or as smoothly do a lot of physical tasks. And so a lot of the time when I hear people talking about dyslexia impacting driving, it sounds more like they're talking about dyspraxia impacting driving. They just don't necessarily realize that's what it is. Because dyslexia, as far as the actual act of driving is concerned, its impact on it is fairly minimal. But dyspraxia has a little bit more of an impact.